Another day gone and still no sign of being any closer to sealing a deal on Brexit. With just over 3 weeks to go until the UK leaves the single market, talks have now moved to the highest levels, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson heading to Brussels for a one-on-one with EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. After 8 months of continuous negotiations, divisions over fishing rights, rules for fair trade and a system to resolve future disputes still separate the two sides. We can cross now to Dave Keating in Brussels. Dave, firstly, what do you read into this news that Johnson is meeting von der Leyen in person? Is that a sign that things are going well, or indeed that negotiations are really failing?
We just don't know is the answer. I mean, some people are reading this as a sign of hope. Some people are reading this as a sign of despair. It's not unusual in free trade negotiations for the negotiators to do talks right up to the line and then hand it over to political leaders to do a big show of signing the agreement at the last minute. That way the leaders can claim victory for having gotten the deal across the line themselves. This doesn't quite feel like that, though, because what we're hearing from both sides is that the two sides are not right up to the line. Normally, that's when something like this would take place, but the two sides, according to both of them, remain really, really far apart on these three remaining fundamental issues of fisheries, governance, and state aid. And as long as they're that far apart, it looks more like this visit is a kind of Hail Mary pass, if you will. It's Boris Johnson coming over and thinking that he can make a difference himself. The key question is, does he think he can make a difference because he'll be able to convince Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to renege on the EU's red lines that have been agreed by all 27 prime ministers and presidents? That seems unlikely that von der Leyen even could do that. Or is he coming here because he thinks he personally can violate his own red lines in a way that his chief Brexit negotiator, David Frost, was unable or unwilling to do? That's the key thing to watch. We still don't know exactly when he's coming. It looks like it will probably be tomorrow, because on Thursday, the 27 EU prime ministers and presidents are coming here to Brussels for an in-person summit. That's really thought to be the last opportunity that they could sign off on a Brexit deal before the end of the year. And Johnson, well, number 10, is saying that he doesn't have the intention to crash that party on Thursday, if you will. I'm not sure he would be invited, since that is a summit for EU leaders. So it looks like tomorrow is probably the day that he is the man to watch here. I mean, this is all up to him now. Is he willing to compromise and violate those red lines that he set out in order to get a deal across the table? From everything we're hearing, it looks like if he did that, he can get the deal passed through the parliament with the support of the loyalists in his party and the opposition Labour Party, although there would be a pretty big revolt on the Brexiteer backbenches of his party. And the EU, it's not clear that von der Leyen could get something past the line if she agrees to violate the EU's red lines.
Indeed, as you say there, Dave, that's looking at the British Parliament. But of course, whatever is decided has to get through EU validation. We are hearing from the EU chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, that Wednesday is pretty much the last day. This is it. This is the final chance.
Yeah, and that summit on Thursday would be the time at which any government can veto this. And France has specifically said they will veto a deal if von der Leyen or Michel Barnier crosses the mandate that EU leaders have given them. Now, probably a deal will involve some crossing of that mandate, probably on fisheries. So is that threat credible? It probably, the way people are reading it is, the veto is quite likely to come if von der Leyen were to violate the EU's provisions on these level playing field guarantees, making sure that the UK doesn't deregulate in the future in order to unfairly compete with the EU. On fisheries, France would be pretty alone on that veto, so it seems unlikely they would veto on that issue. But they are definitely willing to veto. That's the main point. And so is the European Parliament. And a veto on the EU side is much more likely than a veto by the UK Parliament on Johnson's side.
Okay, sounds like there's still such a long way to go, and we are now 23 days away from the UK leaving the single market. Dave Keating, thanks very much indeed.